It's January 22nd, 2026, and according to the internet, it's National Answer Your Cat's Questions Day. I don't know what questions you have for your cat, but I'm pretty sure the answers are going to be disturbing. Welcome to This Day in History from, wait, that's random. I'm your host, C.L. Burns. So on this day in 897, yes, 897, not 1897, 897, something happens that still feels, even by medieval standards, odd. A pope put a dead pope on trial. This event is known as the Cadaver Synod. Pope Stephen VI ordered the body of his predecessor, Pope Formosus, to be exhumed. They even dressed it in papal robes and seated on a throne and formally accused the corpse of crimes. A deacon was assigned to speak on the behalf of the body, which makes total sense. The trial went exactly how you'd expect it to go for a corpse. Formosus, oddly enough, was found guilty. His papal acts were invalidated, and his punishment, they didn't, convict him to death or anything like that. His fingers were cut off and his body was thrown in a river because he was already dead. So what makes this strange is it isn't just about the spectacle. It's about what it says about power. Even in death, authority mattered enough to be punished. The trial wasn't really about justice. It was about control, legitimacy, and I guess who got to decide what counted as valid history. And once you see power exercised that dramatically, it makes you wonder how differently authority shows up in other eras. Because on this date in 1901, power didn't end in a public spectacle at all. Queen Victoria died. After ruling Britain for more than 60 years, her death quietly ended what we now call the Victorian era. No trial, no ceremony marking the end of an age, just a death. And suddenly, an entire way of life was labeled as the past. That's a strange thing when you think about it. An era doesn't know it's an era while it's happening. People went to sleep in the Victorian era and woke up in something else. History only decided later that that line had been crossed. Where the Cadaver Synod tried to control the past through theater, Queen Victoria's death reshaped history through language. A single life became a dividing line between before and after. And that shift from spectacle to structure shows up again on the same date in a very different way. Because on this date in 1944, Allied forces landed in Anzio, Italy during World War II. The plan was bold and simple. Surprise the enemy, move quickly, and break the stalemate in Italy. But instead of advancing, commanders hesitated. The hesitation changed everything. The landing wasn't a failure because of defeat. It stalled because momentum was lost. The enemy regrouped. It was supposed to be a swift breakthrough, but it turned into a long, costly struggle. And it's the strange thread tying all of this together. On this day, power was exercised three very different ways. Once through spectacle, putting a corpse on trial to rewrite legitimacy. Once through quiet finality, a death that neatly closed an era like a book. And once through hesitation, where waiting mattered more than winning. History doesn't just change because of action. Sometimes it changes because of performance. Sometimes it can be timing. Sometimes because someone else paused when they shouldn't have. Anyway, those are some of the moments that kind of caught my attention today. We'll see what strange things we come up with tomorrow. If you want to know more about me or the work I do, you can find everything at waitthat'srandom.com. I'm C.L. Burns, and I appreciate you stopping by.